Good evening, everybody. Before we welcome you here tonight. We'll try to get started here at 6. Somebody said there's a football game or something. A couple people wanted to go see. But before we get started, I'd like to ask Remco Bromett to come up and lead us in invocation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's pray together. Our God in heaven, it is fitting at the beginning of this new year, in this first council meeting, to ask and invite your hand of blessing upon this city for everything that lies ahead for us in 2017. We ask for your blessing on the mayor and the city council and the city staff and leadership, all of the departments that serve the city, our police and fire departments, especially in the light of so many good changes that are coming ahead, a move to a new location, personnel and leadership changes, improvement projects, all things that will eventually improve the quality of life here in the city of Milton. We ask also for your strength in coping with all of those changes and making them go smoothly, and for your hand of protection over our citizens. Protect them against crime and violence, and protect our police departments and fire departments, especially in the light of so many random attacks that are taking place around the nation. And so we commit ourselves to you afresh today, to serve you, to serve the city, and we declare our dependence upon your strength, your wisdom, your fullness to see us through. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Remco. Good evening. I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Milton City Council for Monday, January 9th, 2017 to order. Seems kind of strange saying 2017. Got to get used to that. Sudi, will you please call the roll and make some general announcements?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll be happy to call roll for the January 9th, 2017 regular meeting. I would like to remind those in attendance to please silence all cell phones at this time. Those attending the meeting who would like to provide public comment, either during the public hearing or during the call for public comment, you are required to complete a public comment card prior to speaking on the item. There is no public comment for consent agenda items or items under first presentation. Those called to speak will be taken in the order that the speaker cards are received by the city clerk prior to the beginning of tonight's meeting. All speakers will identify themselves by name, address, and organization, if applicable. The City Council may allow public comment on either an agenda item or general public comment from a representative of such an organized group or association, provided that the individuals shall file a notarized affidavit that they have the authority to speak on behalf of said organization on a form provided by the city clerk prior to the agenda item being called. Demonstration of any sort within the chamber is prohibited, so please refrain from any applause, cheering, booing, outbursts, or dialogue with any person speaking. As I call roll this evening, please confirm your attendance. Mayor Joe Lockwood.
Here.
Councilmember Karen Thurman.
Here.
Councilmember Matt Kuntz.
Here.
Councilmember Bill Luss.
Here.
Councilmember Joe Longoria.
Here.
Councilmember Rick Morick.
Here.
For the record, Councilmember Bill Lusk is absent. Would everyone please?
Bill Lusk is here. It's
Oh,
Bert Hewitt.
I'm sorry.
Councilmember
Sorry,
Hewitt.
Bert Hewitt. Sorry, Bert Hewitt. Councilmember Bert Hewitt is absent for the record. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good evening, everybody. We appreciate you being here. First up on our agenda is the election of the mayor pro tem, which is for those in the audience, the pro tem is fills in for the mayor if I'm either can't incapacitated or can't be somewhere or do something. So similar to the vice president. And per our charter, that position is rotated every year, once a year. So Councilmember Kuntz is the mayor pro tem currently, so it's no reflection negatively on him, but it's the first of the year we changed that position. So I'd like to nominate Councilmember Morrig for that position. Is there any, do I have a second on that?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second to nominate Councilmember Morrig. Councilmember Morrig, we have spoken, so don't expect any surprise that you wouldn't accept. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. So,
Mr.
Thank you.
Mayor, just a brief point of order. I know the language nominate, but of course, I think the expectation of the council was that was the selection. Correct?
correct.
Thank you.
Yep, I'm sorry, nominate, selected.
That's all
So,
right.
okay. And we've got an oath. Rick, if you'll step down. Swear at you. Swear at him, and you guys can swear at. You would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear and affirm
Do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully perform the duties of
that I will faithfully perform the duties of
Mayor Pro Tem of the city,
Mayor Pro Tem of the city,
and that I will support and defend the charter thereof,
and I will support and defend the charter thereof,
as well as the Constitution
as well as the Constitution
and the laws of the state of Georgia
and the laws of the state of Georgia
and of the United States of America.
and of the United States of America.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So help me God.
Okay. Write your name in there. So if council wants to join us, we'll take a picture. City, if you'll please sound the next agenda item.
Our next agenda item this evening is approval of the meeting agenda. This is agenda item number 17001.
Okay. One thing I would like to move agenda item 17-019, number 6, under new business to after the consent agenda. We've got some of our appointments here tonight, so we can move that up early in the meeting. So, other than that, do I have any other comments on the agenda? We'll do that on the, that's on the consent agenda.
We wanted to move.
Don't we do that on the consent agenda, or do we need to take it? Do we need to pull it now? We need to pull it now? Okay, all right, Carter, we've got an item on the consent agenda, item number 5, approval of a construction service agreement between the City of Milton and Mobile Joe's Professionals for landscape improvements in the Broadwell Pavilion, agenda item number 17006. We'll also pull that off of this agenda. So, do I have a motion and a second?
Mayor, I move that we approve the agenda with the stated changes that we just made.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion for Councilmember Longoria, second from Councilmember Kuntz. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Do we have any public comment tonight, City?
We do not, sir.
Okay. Let's move on to the consent agenda.
Our consent agenda this evening is approval of the November 21st, 2016 regular City Council meeting minutes. Agenda item number 17002. Our second consent agenda item is approval of the December 5th, 2016 regular City Council meeting minutes. Agenda item number 17003. Next is approval of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Milton and Lionheart School, Inc. Agenda item number 17004. Next, approval of the audit engagement letter with Malden and Jenkins LLC to audit the city's financial statements for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2016. Agenda item number 17005. Number 5 was pulled. Number 6, approval of a construction services agreement. between the City of Milton and Ed Castro Landscape, Inc. for warning track stabilization at Bell Park. Agenda item number 17007.
Mayor, I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
One
more.
Yeah.
We go up flat here.
Short.
Our final consent is approval of the following subdivision plats. Vicky Hyatt, Land Lot 296, Hopewell Road, minor plat. Create 2 lots, 4.071 total acres, 0.49 lots per acre. Next, Meckers Falls, Land Lots 989 and 990, Freemanville Road, minor plat. Create 3 lots, 9.076 total acres, 0.33 lots per acre. And Sharon Danville, Land Lot 668, Wood Road, minor plat. Revision, move property line lots 2 and 3, 3 lots, 12.34 total acres, 0.24 lots per acre. This is agenda item number 17008.
Try again.
Okay,
Mayor.
Bill, you want to make that motion?
Yes, sir. Move to approve the consent agenda as prepared by staff.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Luskin. I believe Councilmember Morrig seconded it first. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, as we voted to change our agenda, we'll move forward to our new business item. Sudi, if you'll please call that item.
This item is consideration of a resolution appointing members to the City of Milton Equestrian Committee for District 1, Post 1, and District 3, Post 1. Agenda item number 17019. Mayor Joe Lockwood.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and my nomination for this committee is Ms. Julie Shannon of Shannondale Farms. So I'd like to offer that nomination up. Most of you are familiar with the Shannondale Farms and a great part of our community, equestrian community. So,
I'd move to approve. Julie Shannon.
Second.
okay, got a motion from Councilmember Luss, second from Councilmember Thurman for approval of Julie Shannon for the mayor's position. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimous. Okay, I'll move on to our next appointee from Councilmember Thurman.
Yes, I'd like to nominate Carol Cookerly. Carol is president of Cookerly Public Relations, which is in its 24th year and is located in Buckhead. She's a graduate of Duke University. She spent 5 years as a TV reporter before beginning a career in public relations in New York. She's been riding her whole life. She says there's nothing like a jumping lesson followed by a trail ride. She and her husband Robert are American history addicts, and she enjoys spending time with her stepchildren and 3 Labrador retrievers. I'd like to nominate Carol Cookerly.
I'll make a motion to nominate Carol Cookerly.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion for approval from myself and a second from Councilmember Longoria. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's unanimous. Okay. Our next nomination will be Councilmember Longoria.
So I'd like to nominate Laura Bentley for the Equestrian Committee. And most of us know Laura. She currently owns and operates Bethany Hall Farm. She serves on the Cambridge High School Agriculture and Veterinary Science Advisory Board. She's also employed by River Sand Incorporated as a riding arena consultant and sales agent. Laura is a past president of the Georgia Hunter Jumper Association and founding member of Milton's first Horse Council. She holds both a BSBA in marketing as well as an MBA in management. She got her BSBA from App State and her MBA from Mercer. She's married, has 3 children, and I'd add that she is a regular visitor of our meetings and always is willing to share her comments and concerns with the council. So I'd like to nominate Laura.
I'll move to second the nomination.
Okay.
Move
I'll
to
make a
approve.
motion to nominate Laura Bentley. You're second it?
All right. All right. I have a motion from Councilmember Thurman, second from Councilmember Lusk. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, well, and I want to apologize to Ms. Shannon. I didn't read a resume for you, but I think everyone's familiar with Shannondale Farms, and we're excited. We're excited to have all you guys. This is very important, and it's not only obviously on the surface, it's a city logo, a horse, but it's near and dear, and it's what attracts a lot of people, and what makes it such a great place here is to have our equestrian community. So we certainly appreciate everything that you guys, that you're willing to step up and help. We want to totally support you. If I could have the members that are here tonight step forward and that were approved, and we will swear them in.
No chance of that.
If you guys would raise your right hand and just repeat after me. I do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully perform the duties of the Milton Equestrian Committee member of the city, and that I will support and defend the charter thereof, as well as the Constitution and the laws of the state of Georgia and of the United States of America. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Appreciate what you're doing. If the council wants to join me in a picture, if you guys would. All right, guys, you don't need to mention, Karen, that, it was a dirt bike instead of a horse. Although, since you guys are talking, I'm going to go ahead and share a little story. David, unfortunately, was on his dirt bike and had a little spill and broke one arm, two arms, nose, several things. Happened to be on Halloween night, trick-or-treat night. So he comes walking in the house, blood, nose to the side, arm messed up, ripped pants. And what does his wife say? Well, that's a stupid costume. Don't play games. Okay. Let's, I believe we move back to first presentation, Sudie. Please call this out.
Moving right along.
First item is consideration of RZ 16-05 to create steep slope standards in Chapter 64, Article 17, Division 3, Site Improvement Standards. Agenda item number 17009. Next is consideration of RZ 16-10 to amend the rural Milton overlay single-family uses height section 64-1141C. Agenda item number 17010. Our first presentation agenda item is consideration of RZ 16-11 to amend the Crabapple form-based code as it relates to building units allowed for parking structures, Article 19 of the zoning ordinance. Agenda item number 17011. Next, consideration of U 16-01, VC 16-03, 2785 Francis Road by Chrysalis Experimental Academy to consider a use permit for a private school, section 641831, with a maximum of 25 students within the existing structure and a concurrent variance to reduce the undisturbed buffer 64-1143A3B. Agenda item number 17012. Our fifth and final first presentation agenda item this evening is consideration of an ordinance of the City of Milton, Georgia, to amend Chapter 2 of the Code of the City of Milton, Georgia, to provide for compensation for the Planning Commission, the Board of Zoning Appeals, and Design Review Board, to provide for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, to provide an effective date, and for other lawful purposes. This is agenda item number 17013.
Okay, do I have a motion and a second?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to have us approve the first presentation as read.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Morrig, second by Councilmember Longoria. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, we don't have anything under public hearing tonight. We're on the zoning agenda, so we'll move to unfinished business. Sudi, if you will call those items.
This item is consideration of amendments to Chapter 20, Soil Erosion, Sedimentation, and Pollution Control, Article 6, Soil Erosion within the City of Milton, Code of Ordinances. This is agenda item number 16270. The first presentation was heard at the November 21st regular City Council meeting. The first presentation was heard at the December 19th, 2016 regular City Council meeting. Mr. Carter Lucas.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We are periodically asked to adopt updates to our erosion sediment control ordinance to maintain our ordinance in compliance with the model ordinances that are issued by the state. When this was originally brought before you for the first reading, the ordinance was a complete replacement of the existing ordinance with the model ordinance that exists. Upon further review, there are a number of things in our ordinance that we wanted to keep, and so we have your first presentation was basically our existing ordinance with changes that we felt were necessary from the model ordinance. And those changes were relatively minor. We made some changes to the definitions in section 20-490 and one language change to the application requirements in section 20-591. Otherwise, the ordinance remains as it was, and we believe will be in substantial compliance with what is required by the state. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, but the changes tonight are relatively minor.
Any questions for Carter on this? Okay. Now I'll open up for a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve agenda item number 16-270.
Second motion.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Coots for approval of this item, second from Councilmember Lusk. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimous, Sudi.
Thank you.
Okay, Sudi, if we can move on to new business, will you call that first item?
Our first item under new business is consideration of a resolution of the City of Milton, Georgia, to set qualifying fees for municipal elections. This is agenda item number 17014. Mr. Ken Gerard.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you very much. As the council may be aware, this year we are in election year where at least 4 posts are up for election. The mayor, District 1, Post 1, District 2, Post 1, and District 3, Post 1. Pursuant to state law, whenever there is an election in an upcoming calendar year, we have an obligation to fix and publish the qualifying fees by February 1st of the year upon which those elections occur. You have in your agenda packet this evening a resolution that accomplishes that. The qualifying fee in most situations, as it certainly is in Milton, is 3% of whatever the salary is for the post or position for which the election is to occur. In this situation, you've got one, which is the mayor's salary at $23,000. 3% of that is $690, and then you have the other city council post positions at $13,000, with 3% being $390. The resolution is in order, and it's my recommendation to you that you adopt the resolution setting these qualifying fees, and the city clerk will then publish them. Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Are there any questions for Ken? Any of you that may be up for election want to raise it to 100,000? I'm kidding. Okay.
I'll go 50.
All right. Any, no comments? Then I'll open up for a motion. And it, just again for the public, this is standard of what it's been for the last 10 years.
It is. This is definitely housekeeping.
Okay.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve agenda item number 17-014.
Second.
Okay. Motion from Councilmember Kuntz, second by Councilmember Thurman, I believe. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimous. Sudi, if you'll please sound the next new business item.
The next item is consideration of a resolution establishing issues to be reviewed by the City of Milton Charter Commission. Agenda item number 17-015, Mr. Ken Gerard.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you very much. As the name suggests, the Charter Commission is a function and creature of your, well, charter. And the charter anticipates that every 5 years, the City of Milton will create a charter commission whose task it is to look at the operations of the city and to make recommendations to the General Assembly as with respect to possible changes to your charter that may make the City of Milton run better. We, of course, have already done this once. This Charter Commission was created in early December of last year, and there has been and has since been unfolding a list of recommendations to the Charter Commission of areas that they could look at again, and hopefully deliberate over those in a deliberative session of the Charter Commission, and ultimately make a recommendation that will come back to you, presumably that you will then adopt, and then that will go to the General Assembly for them to consider for possible modifications to your charter. Having sat through one of these already some years ago, I can tell you it is an excellent exercise in a deliberative process to hopefully make the operations of Milton better. You have in this resolution that list of recommendations that will go to the Charter Commission. We've gone over it already, I believe, in a work session, but we could do it again if you need to. It does not limit what the Charter Commission can consider. The Charter Commission can consider other things other than just what is on this list, and candidly, having sat through them once, they do. But this is at least a starting place, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any questions for Ken on that? Bill?
In section 6.30, procurement and property management.
Yes.
Could you clarify the, where it says, council shall be authorized to delegate by ordinance contract signing authority to the city manager, which we already have in place, I believe, for contracts with a maximum amount of $50,000. And here's my question: with a term of no more than a single fiscal year, does that phrase there amount, or is that regarding the contract itself, or is that regarding?
Are you talking? Basically, are you asking, is that aggregated or is that a single contract?
Right.
Yeah, so it says for contracts with a maximum amount of $50,000, my expectation would be that the way I would interpret that is that would be one contract amount, not aggregated, because if it was aggregated, I think it would have little utility, and if I'm in front of the Charter Commission, I'll explain that to them, that that's at least the recommendation.
Well, and I guess I misspoke. It was the phrase that follows $50,000 with a term of no more than a single fiscal year. Does that refer to a specific contract itself, or to the city manager's responsibility or obligation or limit of one contract?
I think the point, it's a great question. I think the point of this proposal is to ensure that whatever delegation to the city manager occurs, it is for a single contract that can have a not to exceed of $50,000 of any expenditure in one single fiscal year. In other words, it's not intended to allow the city manager to execute contracts that have rollover provisions that go past one fiscal year.
Right.
Anything else?
Got it.
And to Ken's point, for the Charter Commission, these are suggestions.
Correct.
But they're also open to any other things that they deem to explore. So, all right. If do I have any other council decision on or discussion on that? And I'll open up for motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve agenda item number 17-015, consideration of the resolution establishing issues to be reviewed by the City of Milton Charter Commission.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Ward, second from Councilmember Longoria. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, Sudie, if you'll please call the next new business item.
Next item is consideration of a resolution of the Milton City Council to readopt the 5 GMA ethics principles for recertification to be a Georgia Certified City of Ethics. Agenda item number 17016. Mr. Ken Gerard.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the Georgia Municipal Association has a program whereas cities can apply for and receive a designation as a certified city of ethics to the extent that they meet certain criteria. One, of course, is to have an independent ethics ordinance that has been adopted by the local jurisdiction. Actually, you'd be surprised. Some jurisdictions don't have ethics ordinance. They rely on the state law with respect to their ethics programming. The other thing that a city is required to do to become a city of ethics is to adopt 5 enumerated principles, aspirational principles of how they will govern their city. And those 5 principles are articulated in the resolution in front of you. I won't read them all, but certainly that's one of the requirements of this. The City of Milton, of course, is already a certified city of ethics through GMA's program, but it does require that we renew our certification every 4 years. And that is the point of this. Upon adoption of this resolution, should you choose to do so, this combined with our ordinance will be delivered to GMA, and at that point they will recertify the City of Milton as a city of ethics. Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any questions on this? Or I'll open up for a motion.
Mayor, I'll move to approve a resolution of the Milton City Council to readopt the 5 GMA ethics principles for recertification to be a Georgia Certified City of Ethics. Agenda item number 17-016.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilmember Lusk, and I believe the first second was from Councilmember Thurman. So, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, Sudie, if you'll please call the next new business item.
Next item is consideration of a resolution and ordinance amending resolution number 081154 of the City of Milton, Georgia, to provide for compensation for the members of the Milton Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, to provide for the repeal of conflicting provisions, to provide an effective date, and for other lawful purposes. Agenda item number 17017. Mr. Ken Gerard.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you very much. As with all things, we start with our charter. The City of Milton Charter anticipates in section 4.11 that the City Council is authorized to establish the compensation for members of boards and committees, and you have expressed an interest in doing that. In fact, I think there were some additional items on your first presentation which may eventually come to you that will also set compensation with respect to boards and committees. However, this is the first one that is actionable. This would set the compensation for the Milton Park and Recreation Advisory Board at $50 for each meeting the members of that board attend. And to make sure that we all know what we're talking about with respect to meeting, we included language that defines a meeting as that which is a meeting under the Open Meetings Act. It doesn't just mean when they happen to meet with constituents or meet together for a sandwich. It's talking about a formal meeting that is governed by notice and minutes, etc. So that's what this would set up. Mr.
Okay.
Mayor.
Any questions on that, council? Okay, I'll open up for a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve agenda item number 17-017, a resolution and ordinance amending resolution number 0811-54 of the city of Milton.
Second.
Have a motion from Councilmember Longoria and seconded by Councilmember Morrick. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous, Sudi. Okay, Sudi, please sound the next and final new business item.
Our final item is consideration of the following subdivision plat. Glenview at Arnold Mill, land lots 1139 and 1166. Final plat, create 41 lots, 8.187 total acres, 5 lots per acre. Agenda item number 17-018, Ms. Kathy Field.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a little PowerPoint. Let me just get through all the minor plats first. Here we are. So as the city clerk mentioned, this is a final plat. This is in the Crabapple area. It's a townhouse development and is going to be developed according to our zoning and development guidelines. And it will create 41 townhome lots. And it's on Arnold Mill Road. And that is the south section of the plat, and that's the north section showing also the stormwater drainage facility that we have worked with the developer to create an amenity. It will look like a park, and so we work very hard with them to do that. So that essentially is what the plat is, and I'm certainly welcome any questions you may have.
And just for clarification, just to confirm, this is a previously zoned, this is not a zoning, this is just
Yes,
approving the
the
plat.
zoning is in place. It's part of the Crabapple overlay. It's allowed up to 5 units per acre per the T4 open designation.
Right,
zoning.
so that's been in place
Yes.
for quite a while. Any, Karen?
Considering the fact that the widening of Arnold Mill Road has been on in the planning stages for 25 plus years, if that road ever does get widened, do we have the right amount of right of way in order for that road to ever be widened as part of this plat? It just looks like these are awfully close to the road, and if they're ever going to make that a 4 or 6 lane road, I'm not.
I guess Carter, can you address that, Carter? Or at least in theory?
Right, at this point, we don't have a typical section for that road, but the intent was to try and reserve the same amount of right-of-way that we have done for Highway 9, which was 55 feet from the center line, which I believe that we have addressed in these plats coming in along Arnold Mill. Can't see that
It just looks
on
very
this.
close to the.
I can't tell on this particular one.
It says here 50-foot reserved right-of-way from center line of Arnold Mill Road. Is that all they need is the 50 feet?
So that would be from center line, so that would be 100-foot right-of-way.
Okay.
Is that fairly typical, Corbin?
It is. We did 55 on Highway 9, but at this point, that's kind of a guess, just trying to provide enough room for what we would think would be a typical section down through that area. So 50 to 55 would be pretty standard.
Okay. Most, Bill?
So is this a standard that's set by the state, or is this a standard that we've developed ourselves?
We just based it on what had been done on the Highway 9 corridor to try and give as much room as possible. At this point, the state wouldn't really have the ability to acquire any of that right-of-way along that corridor. So we're making our best estimate based on similar projects in the area about what would be required.
Rick?
What would the setback then be, Carter, from the right of way for the buildings? So we've heard some other people express concerns when roads are widened and the impact to their property that they bought before it was widened?
Typically with a right-of-way reservation, the setbacks are all measured from the existing right-of-way, not the reserved right-of-way. And all that is required is that there are no buildings built within the reservation area. I can't tell from this exact picture. There should be a reservation line on there. But keep in mind the location of the right-of-way is not the location of the edge of road. And so between the edge of road and the right-of-way, you will have beauty strips, trails, landscape areas. So it's not as if the location of the right-of-way is going to dictate where the back of the curb is.
And would that still be preserved once the road is widened, or would they lose that once the road is widened? The setback, the trails, some of the things that you're...
Your setback would obviously be closer to the reservation line than you were from the existing right-of-way line.
The amenities, trails, and sidewalks and all, would that typically be part of the DOT's, you know, if they were widening the road, would they have to replace that even if it's moved over?
Yes, they're typically doing basically the complete streets when they look at these, the tip trails, bike paths, those types of amenities. If we as a community want things above and beyond that, we have an opportunity to work with the DOT to provide those, generally at our cost.
But there is enough right-of-way to put in whatever lanes they want to put in, plus to put in a new sidewalk and a trail or whatever else, landscaping on this plan? I mean, it looks tight.
I can only say that we're providing what we would typically see from a right-of-way standpoint along that corridor. I have no idea, and nor does the state have any idea what that typical section looks like. As that gets developed in the future, they will have to deal with the right-of-way acquisition down through that corridor if sufficient right-of-way doesn't exist for them to fit whatever section they come up with at the time that that's, what would we say, that's on the 2035 planning list? So the conditions that exist at the time they move into design in the late 2020s, they'll have to deal with it at that point. We are providing what we think is a typical right-of-way width at this time for the other projects we've seen.
For 4 lanes?
That would typically be a 4-lane plus turn lanes and a median.
Anybody else? Okay. We'll open up for a motion if there's no other questions or comments.
Mayor, I move we approve agenda item number 17-018.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Councilmember Longoria, second from Councilmember Kuntz. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay. Next, we'll move on to reports. One, and I know Carter will be probably addressing it a little bit, but I just want to thank all of our staff and our team and contractors and whatnot for preparing and dealing with the snow and ice. So I think overall did a great job, and I think everybody worked really hard. So thank you for your commitment and 24-hour vigil out there. So.
Mr. Mayor?
Matt?
Yeah, on that note, I had a specific thank you from the Birmingham Crossroads area to our staff, to Public Works, and to Shannon for the black ice issue that was up on Birmingham Highway by New Bullpen Road, and how we handled it so much better than the city of Canton did theirs. So I just want to let you guys know you did a great job in comparison to that, and I think that was a good thing. So.
Okay.
Just before Carter gets rolling, and that's my first experience with snow removal here. It was quite a learning experience. Very different environment. This is the first time I've ever seen the city mayor plowing a road. However, you did it well, and I saw.
Except Carter was scared to ride the big snow plow with.
I saw very few reflectors off to the side of the road.
I saved you a couple, Chief. Keep that going. I got a couple of souvenirs.
But they did do a fantastic job with extremely limited resources. We're going to be looking at, we're going to debrief the entire operation over the next couple of days, and there's always room for process improvement. We're going to see where we can continue to improve. But I'm glad to hear that we've had positive feedback, not just from the people that were out there working. Shannon played a tremendous role in making sure we kept the communication lines open and address issues as they became apparent. So all in all, it was a good effort.
Rick?
Just a couple of quick items, and thanks. Appreciate the city putting forward information again for fireworks and how they impact animals and horses. I noticed that we had a sign along Highway 9, which was good. A number of people mentioned to me that they had seen that also. So appreciate what you guys did there, and also want to commend Roddy Moats and you guys. Last week we had Georgia DOT change the timing on the light at Webb Road and Highway 9, and it was backed up past Windward Parkway. I made a quick call to the city. Roddy got out there, did emergency changes, even though that was outside of what he normally would do. He didn't cause the problem, and I noticed that the traffic was cleared within about 25 to 30 minutes. We got back to normal flow, and that was during rush hour that was going on. So thanks to the staff for trying to help on that also.
Well, thank you for your assistance with the signage, because some of that wasn't going to happen if we didn't talk. So much appreciated.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to reports.
Well, good evening. We had a very cozy weekend with a number of us here. I wish I could give you a report on materials and things that we use, but we're still in operation. So once we wrap those up, we'll try and get you a lowdown on that. Just to give you an idea, though, we were in continuous operations from Friday morning to midnight Saturday night. We had all crews operational during that time. Midnight Saturday night, we did take a little bit of a break to get some rest. Remained on call through that period, though. Worked again all day Saturday and just finished a 12-hour shift today trying to wrap things up. So we believe, hopefully, that our normal operations with this event are complete, and we'll be working on an on-call basis to continue to grab any of those little areas that may still remain out there. But it was quite a long weekend. They don't normally seem that long, but it was very good. I think the crews all did a great job. They worked very hard through that whole event, and worked very well with all the different departments, with fire, police, communications, everyone who was involved in that. So look forward to the next one. We got to use some equipment this year that we hadn't had before, so that's always a fun thing for the guys. So it all worked well. I'll continue to work through the night, and we'll be ready for the next one. Real quick on some other projects. City Hall continues to remain on track so that we'll be out of this facility by our April deadline. We're working on furniture installation and finishes interior to the building, so if you have an opportunity, just let us know. We'd be glad to take you out there, give you a sneak preview of the facility. It's going to be a very nice facility. The Mayfield Road Sidewalk Projects is another one that's been going on for quite a long time. We have completed our right-of-way acquisition on that project, and we've certified that right-of-way to GDOT. It generally takes them about 90 days to accept that right-of-way certification and authorize us to proceed into construction. We're about 30 days into that process, so in about 60 days we'll be ready to put those packages together and issue those for bid. We're going to be looking at doing a joint project with the City of Alpharetta to continue those sidewalks down to, the name of the subdivision escapes me at this moment, but it's an Alpharetta subdivision on the south side of Mayfield Road. I'm not going to get there. But I'm sure we all know that property. Heritage Walk roadway in front of the City Hall project is ongoing. We're probably looking at a late 2017 total completion of that project. Hopefully in the June-July timeframe, we'll have at least the Heritage Walk component of it in front of City Hall completed, followed by the turn lanes and intersection improvements there at the main intersection. That's all I've got. If you've got any questions on any other specific project that I've left off, I'd be glad to answer them.
Hey, Bill?
Back on Heritage Walk, what's the schedule for the two roundabouts? Is that in?
They're being done in conjunction with the road itself. So Baldwin has about a 7-phase project plan. I think we've got that out on our intersectionprojects.com website just to go over the major phases, but they'll move back and forth between the roundabouts and the roadway itself depending on their traffic control pattern. But the road and the two roundabouts will be completed about the same time, and then they'll move to the intersection improvements, which are the turn lanes on 3 of those approaches.
Okay, anything else?
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you, Carter. And I also thank you guys for kind of humoring Steve when he had to kind of bite his tongue when he heard 2 to 4 inches of snow and everybody getting prepared.
Except black ice.
Black eye.
All right, Chief Edgar.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'd like to touch on the weather event as well, but first, the 3 new firefighters started in December with the fire department. That's filling 3 vacancies that we've been holding and trying to fill. So nothing new, but just filling those vacancies. And that ties into our strategic plan for conducting an ongoing staffing analysis for the fire rescue and operations side. We're reevaluating our fleet plan. With the development in the Crabapple area, we are seeing with these mixed-use developments and the taller buildings that we need to look at a aerial pumper, which is a quint, to satisfy and meet the fire protection needs in that area, as well as meeting our ISO requirements for that area. And it's nothing new. It's in our capital plan as part of our fleet plan. It's just changing direction. Instead of replacing a pumper, we're going to look at and evaluate replacing that with a quint. So something I'll keep you in touch with what we're doing there as we move forward. We reviewed our call volume over the last 3 years, and we've seen a 3% increase in calls overall during that 3-year period. So we're doing pretty good, and I hope that's to some of the things that we're doing through fire prevention and some of the other pub ed things and outreaches that we're doing with the community. So the awards banquet is February 11th. I think you all have received an invitation. I hope to see you there. It gives us an opportunity to celebrate the successes of our firefighters over this past year, and it always seems to be a good event and enjoyed by all, so I hope to see you all there. And to our weather event, the first weather event for 2017, the fire department responded to 20 incidents. 25% of those were weather-related type calls. And that started from noon Friday till 10 a.m. this morning. So, and I believe that low call volume is attributed to the communications that Shannon did and all the work that Public Works did with the roads and all of that. So much appreciated there. The EOC was activated and staffed for the event, throughout the event. And I would like to note that Carter brought maps out to the EOC, set those up, and he had maps that were showing the way he was going to address the plowing of the different areas and broke it down into 3 zones. But he also then went into our whiteboard there and started putting columns and numbers, and I wasn't really sure what all that meant. But over time, as I'm watching this and talking to Carter and seeing the guys go out and come back, I realized that it was a scorecard for the number of blue markers, the hydrant markers that they could hit and send off to the street. So apparently Carter is the winner because he signed and gave me the distance that this particular marker went. So thank you, Carter, for that.
10 pointers.
Any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Rick?
Can you give us an update on the training facility? I know we had deferred at one time. Can you give us an update on where we stand on that?
I will defer that to Carter.
I'll take that one. We are currently looking at our Highway 9 property for the development of the police court and fire facility once we completely move out of this facility. One of the things that we're looking at as part of that is whether or not there's an opportunity for us to locate the fire training tower on that piece of property. And so as we move through that concept plan development here in the next couple of months, that will be one of the things that we target, whether or not it can be located there and whether or not we can build it prior to the development of the full facility to get that up and running.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for Chief? Bill?
Yeah, Chief, you mentioned you had a 3% increase in calls. Over what period of time?
2014 through 2016.
Okay. Would that coincide with our increase in population out here?
I believe it does, yes, and we do anticipate and project an additional increase over the next year or so, just due to the adult living facilities those two facilities coming in on Highway 9. We believe our call volume is going to increase based on that, plus all the development that we have.
Right. So it's not out of line.
Not yet, no, and that's why I wanted to bring that forward, is just to show that what we've seen in the last 3 years and what we may see moving forward in the next 3 years with what's going on. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay. Shannon, you're up next.
Let's get this out of the way. I've never been accused of being soft-spoken. Are we good? So, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, second presentation I've made. I've been here now all of about almost 100 days. I don't envision my reports going forward looking like or sounding like the last one or tonight's presentation. I think it's good for me to sort of give you an understanding of how I'm approaching communications. And based on some of the feedback we got during the last presentation, I'm doing something a little bit different. I think overall what I'll do tonight is I'll dig a little bit deeper just in terms of what the city's audience looks like. We'll talk about some of my ongoing strategic support for the strategic plan and the different departments and how I support them, and then discuss a little bit about how I'm implementing core values and how we communicate, whether it's traditional media through our press releases, digital, social. So let's take a look first at website. Website, just want to give you 3 little tidbits, facts about what our audience looks like. In terms of website, we're pretty evenly split between male and female, which is reflective of our overall demographics of our population. We're aligned in terms of national statistics about website users, the age groups. Interestingly, Milton has a high population of 14 and under. So what I will be looking at going forward is where our future residents, where they are, how do they get their information, whether it's Snapchat or different things. I know that sounds silly. They're not necessarily voters, but I think it's important to engage all of your citizens, whether they're your constituents and actually vote, whether they're commercial and reside within the city and operate a business but reside elsewhere. And then I looked at the majority of our users, how they're accessing our website. And interestingly, about 50% between desktops. So we still have a number of our users who are using a desktop. And then you've got tablet and mobile obviously growing, which is reflective of national numbers as well. Facebook. So from a social standpoint, skews, it's aligned. More women use Facebook. So again, we reflect sort of national statistics. Who's actually following us on Facebook? Obviously, overwhelmingly, it's Georgia, and obviously specific to Milton and our surrounding communities. But what you may find interesting is that we actually have followers who are in other countries, India, France, Netherlands, Mexico. Now, some of those may be residents who lived here at one time. They may have some personal connection. But what I have found in my past experience in terms of economic development and community branding is that you oftentimes have companies outside the country, outside your state, that before they've ever talked with a Chamber of Commerce or whether they've talked with the state economic development folks, they've already sort of gone out and they're looking at what your website has out, what your social media footprint. So they're looking at your reputation and how you interact with one another as a council, how your citizens interact. So I think, the fact that we have a small percentage of users, it could obviously have some economic development benefits as well. There's just no way to really know where those are connected. So when you look at Facebook, 3 key points here. We have a very low number consistently of unlikes, meaning people who have chosen to follow us who then disengage with us. We're averaging about 8 likes per period, and that's based on a month, a 30-day period. And we're averaging 3 page recommendations. So what do those things mean? Obviously, numbers are good, and you want to see growth. But it means that we are communicating and saying the right things. We're providing messaging that our residents are interested in hearing, and that is further validated when you have those page recommendations, because it means that people who've chosen to follow you are interested in what you're saying, and they're actually giving you that third-party credibility, that social recommendation to their family and friends that are within their network. So it's a gain, it's a business retention and expansion is the best way to explain it. Twitter. When you look at Twitter, we're a little off. We skew more female in Twitter, which is a little bit odd. Usually it's more male, but that's changed a little bit over the last couple of years. Largest number of our followers in this age group are 45 to 54, which is pretty typical. And of course, our top tweet for December was our Home for the Holidays, the post in particular where we brought home the sign. Interestingly, that was obviously the highest performing post on Facebook as well. In the interest of full disclosure, though, I did spend $35 from my budget to boost that post. As a result, we had 2 media segments covered by Fox 5 as a result, and obviously think that from a community branding and awareness standpoint, that's obviously important to the city, and especially as we develop economic development efforts and expand those. Specifically, in terms of numbers, I can tell you that post reached 32,730 people. The ad was only delivered to Milton zip code specific, so it was geocoded, so we were not spending money on anyone outside of our city footprint. We had 2,940 who actually clicked the post, opened it, expanded it, and read it, which means a lot. And then we had 634 that actually engaged in some form or fashion, responded through an emoticon, like or shared or commented, which, again, numbers are wonderful, and you have those numbers in front of you, whether it's our page visits, our unique website visits, our total followers. You have those numbers, but it's more than just a numbers game. It's about what you're saying and how it's being received and how it's being shared with others. So I have been here, like I said, only a period of about 90 days, but wanted to take a look at how have we done year over year. And this just gives you a quick snapshot. Again, I don't rely too heavily on the numbers. It's far more important than just the raw number. We talked about that last time. But I think it's also equally important to show growth. And so we've definitely had growth over the last year, some significant growth in Instagram. So I'll be looking at ways to use that, particularly in our economic development efforts and our Milton license. I'll talk a little bit about in a minute. But just wanted to give you a snapshot in terms of performance, the year-end kind of report to look at how did we do over the last year in terms of numbers. Looking ahead, I will be looking at implementing and executing a communication survey to make sure that we have all these things in place that were here when I got here. Many of them I have used historically throughout my career, but I want to make sure that for the city of Milton, each city, each county, each state, each organization, your audience is different, and I want to make sure that we're delivering information in all the ways that our residents want to get it, whether it's through, traditional print, some sort of application that sort of groups all of ours, similar to what you have with Nextdoor. I'm not suggesting Nextdoor, but are we actually implementing and executing our message in all the areas that we need to? Because digital media, again, like I mentioned during my last presentation, is segmented our audience, so we have to sort of sprinkle the message everywhere so that it reaches the masses. And of course, I'll be looking at the website. Some of the things I plan to do with the website is making sure that we have current, it's up to date, that it's a little bit flatter, it's easier, fewer clicks to get through, exploring opportunities for more online forms instead of printing, so fillable PDFs, simple things that we can do, and that's that third bullet there. And in terms of strategic support, my role and how I've supported the strategic plan, just a few things, just touching on economic development with our hashtag Milton license, where we're looking to feature our licensed businesses and working with Sarah from the Community Development Department, assisting with branding and wayfinding, signage, color schemes, font, things like that. Public Works, assisting Carter and his team with sort of the creative and look and feel for a new app that they've been developing. And then Parks and Rec, looking at marketing assistance for those programs that may need it. Some of them don't necessarily need assistance, but I have a background in marketing, low budget, easy marketing for nonprofits. So how can we help support those different athletic programs and drive registrations for them? And then, of course, the upcoming master planning events. And finally, just wanted to touch on the core values and offer some tangible examples. Some may seem common or routine or sort of a given, but I think it's obviously a way for us to sort of inject those core values into what we do, whether it's how I communicate on the web, traditional media, or through social. But in terms of our respect, how we address our residents, whether it's addressing them as, a salutation in a social media post, whether it's being responsive in terms of our excellence, the timeliness of our replies. If someone emails through the city website portal, that comes to me, that info email, making sure that that gets directed to the right department in a timely manner, and then following up to make sure that the resident has everything that they need. In terms of integrity, owning a mistake or an error. Whether it's me or a department, if we make a mistake, it's an opportunity for improvement, and sort of owning those. A great example was today. I myself had cut and pasted and missed an address, but just taking ownership when we don't get it right. And then responsiveness is not just timeliness, but thoroughness. Are we giving the resident, the community, the full information that they need? And along those lines, collaboration, working across the department so that we don't make assumptions, and that we sort of peel back the layers of the onion to make sure that we give the resident a thorough response and explanation. And then, of course, knowledge. In the case of communication, more is more. Some may disagree with that, but I've always found it to be very effective in my experience. So making sure that it's not just what we have to share in terms of the city's knowledge or what our departments are doing, but also taking the opportunity to learn from the resident and that there may be a new way of doing something. So a mutual exchange there. And that's it for me. I'm happy to answer any questions. I feel like I've been hazed. The last time I had to follow the award-winning Parks Department, and tonight I'm between you and a national championship. So my only comment is War Eagle.
Any questions or comments for Shannon? Bill?
Just one comment. In your marketing page there, you mentioned wayfinding signage coming up. And I understand that bid package is going out shortly, so that those signs will be installed coincident with opening of City Hall.
That's my understanding.
I want to say I really enjoyed reading all your Facebook posts about the weather as I was sitting on the beach in 82 degree weather myself. But we were not sure we were going to be able to get into Atlanta at one point in time, so I was glad to know that things didn't last as long as they had feared them.
I agree. I was racing back. I dropped my son off at college, and I was racing back to beat the weather myself. And I had a couple of times where I don't know if it's a former resident or a resident may have been somewhere on vacation like you, who said it's 70 in Cali. So that was my little silver lining. But I wasn't out on the roads like Carter and the mayor and everyone else. So.
All right. Well, thank you, Shannon. Good job. All right. It's going to conclude tonight's meeting unless anybody has anything.
I'll make a motion we adjourn.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous.